Honored representatives of mass media, and we are starting a meeting of Foreign Minister Edgars, Rinkēvičs, and Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Denmark, Kristian Jensen. So please start. Good morning, dear journalists. Today, shortly before North and Baltic country and Visegrad Group country minister meeting, I had the possibility and honor to discuss several issues with my Danish colleague concerning who was the coordinator of the previous Nordic and Baltic countries cooperation, and we are very happy that we have sort of taken over a lot of works and tasks Denmark has done in the previous year, and we are continuing with a lot of priorities also in our coordination phase, starting from cooperation in the strategic communication, security issues, also in cooperation in Eastern Partnership questions. Today we discussed our bilateral relationship, and we see that it is very good as in political as in economical level, and I would like to emphasize that Danish Culture Institute has done a great job in Latvia, and Denmark is one of our closest partners in trade and investment, and we would like to see continuation of this cooperation. And I would like to express a thank to Denmark for serious support for establishing a Media Excellence Center. And also I would like to emphasize our long-term cooperation in security and defense issues. As you know, right now 10 soldiers are in Iraq in the composition of Denmark forces in anti-Islamic country coalition. And we also discussed further cooperation in the defense field. We talked a lot about issues that concern current challenges in the EU, in the migration field, questions about fight against terrorism, and I have to say that our opinion how to work with migration problems in the EU by strengthening external borders, by strengthening fight against illegal human trafficking, against crime, and working on issues for solution of long-term causes as a basis for migration. So our opinions there are similar. And we are also talking about NATO summit in Warsaw. We have one mind that the role of NATO and presence in the long term in the Baltic region should be strengthened. And I would like to see quite a clear, strong signal in Warsaw. We also want to see more integrated cooperation between NATO and Sweden and Finland. We also discussed open door policy issues. And I would like also to emphasize the fact that we have also very good cooperation in international organizations. We try to support each other wherever it is possible. And we also see that Baltica and Nordic country cooperation and framework of this cooperation includes a lot of issues, and we are using that successfully. Taking into consideration that we do not have too much time, I would right now give the possibility for my colleague to say something. So please, now the floor is yours.
First of all, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, Edgars, for the invitation to come. It's a pleasure to be here in Riga. I've been here since this morning, experiencing a bit of your beautiful city, and I'm looking forward to see more of it in the afternoon. We have had a very good meeting, which has underlined the excellent bilateral cooperation that Latvia and Denmark has with each other and has had for the past 25 years. We have many areas where we're working together, commercially, in investment, in trade, and the Danish companies are happy and glad to have good partners here in Latvia. There are many issues that are pressuring on the agenda. Migration is one, where we, as Edgars said, have a mutual interest in finding the root causes to migration, the reason why people have decided to take the difficult and dangerous route to Europe must be confronted where it all starts. Therefore, I'm so glad about the military cooperation that we have in Iraq right now. Denmark has been one of the partners in the international coalition against ISIL from the beginning. We decided this week to send back our F-16s, 7 of them to Iraq and Syria, to send in special operation forces and also to send in a transportation unit in addition to what we already are doing together with the Latvian soldiers, which is to train the Iraqi forces. If we want to have a lowering of the number of refugees coming out of Iraq and Syria, the most important thing is to end the conflict. Naturally, we have also looked to the very and much closer problems, which is the aggression from the Russian side. From Denmark, we're very worried about the aggression that Russia has right now. We're very worried about the hybrid warfare that we see with the propaganda, where I'm very pleased with the cooperation we have about the EU East Stratcom. I'm looking forward later today to speak more about how we counter the Russian propaganda. This is not only affecting Lithuania and the Baltic states, it's also, Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. It's affecting all countries in the European Union that Russia is so aggressive as they are right now. And therefore we must stand firmly together to confront the propaganda. I'm looking very much forward to the Warsaw Summit. For me and for Denmark, it is a very important summit. It is where we shall confirm our solidarity. It is where we shall take the next concrete steps in order to deteriorate any threats against the NATO allies. It is where we should look in how to be sure that we have the right cooperation to ensure that every NATO member can have a security and a stability as we all agreed on and based the idea of NATO upon. Denmark has been active, and more than 5,000 Danish soldiers will be active in NATO reassurance measures here in 2016. And then, I must say, I've just come, and I'm already looking forward to come back. And it's not because I'm rushing off soon, but it's because the next time I will come, it will be on the invitation to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the regaining of the independence. I'm very much looking forward to come in August and to be able to celebrate the steps that you have taken during the 25 years. You have come a very long way, and I'm sure that together we will come even further. Thank you.
Paldies, Jensen kungam, un vai ir kādi jautājumi?
Thank you. Are there any questions? Letta. Edgars Parks agency, Letta, thank you. You gave us the floor. Previously there was only a possibility just to express one opinion. I would like to ask how the correspondence possibilities are evaluated. I think that we have clearly answered last week on this issue, and there is not much to add. I can just repeat several issues. First, we are not excluding possibility of creating such correspondence. However, today we see, and I have been in Kiev myself and talked with my colleagues, we see that currently there is going on very intensive cooperation between Russia and Ukraine, also in the president level, also about exchange of citizens of Russia and Ukraine, and that is the main task right now, to achieve that Ukrainian citizens who are convicted without any reason will be returned back to Ukraine. Our task is to facilitate this process. Secondly, we are discussing this issue with our partners. We consider that more efficient would be the way when we see if the situation is not going in the positive way. So I said that there are some indications that it is going. So we have to make a broader decision. We are going to continue with work with our region partners in Luxembourg. When we had foreign ministers counselor in Luxembourg, and now we are not excluding the possibility of this correspondence if we do not see sufficient progressive steps in the nearest future. However, I would like to emphasize that we would like to see much quicker Savchenko and other citizens release from the prisons in Russia, to facilitate that, to look at this process more from the mutual cooperation mechanism and unity point of view within the framework of the EU. So just like a week ago, I leave this possibility open also today. When we are going to make any decision, of course, we will inform mass media about that. So there is no use to ask every second day whether correspondence is going to be there or not. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Laura Cilmiņa, BNS. Danish position in the refugees issue. Does Denmark support changes for acceptance of refugees, which is facilitated by the EU?
Denmark is one of the countries in the European Union who has received the highest number of refugees per capita. We've been that both in 2014 and 2015, and therefore we are very interested in doing what we can to lower the numbers of refugees and migrants coming to Europe. Denmark has a opt-out on the judicial matters, so we are not a country who are a part of the decision making, and if the EU is going to make a mandatory quotas, we will be outside of that. I do believe it is very difficult. It will be very difficult for the EU to have a consensus on mandatory quotas. I do believe that what the EU has done with Turkey in order to make an arrangement where Turkey is supported to be better able to deal with the flow of refugees inside Turkey, and on the other hand is closing their borders so that we don't have the flow of migrants coming into Europe illegally, is a very effective measure. And I think we should work on doing so in other regions, for instance with the North African countries, in order to make sure that the stream of refugee is not just shifting from the West Balkans to the Mediterranean. Since we're not a part of the decision making, I will not decide for others what to do. Just give you my opinion, and I think it will be very difficult for the European Commission to have consensus on any mandatory quotas. Having said that, I do believe that the refugee problem, the refugee crisis, is a crisis that can only be solved if we find a common European solution, and if every country is helping in as much as they can. And even though Denmark stands outside any quota system, we will still be a country that will take our share both of the UN refugee quota but also of the refugees coming to Europe as such. And we hope that we can find agreements as we have done so many times before in the European Union.